Now you may not got money. Time no good to come na hitin country, and we don't have any money. So we have to borrow, whether we like it or not. Suppose tomorrow nuclear prime minister come inside lot 2022. Mr. Speaker, I want to be on record to say that that prime minister will actually have to borrow again. How do I know? Because you just have to check every other government on this planet. Every government is borrowing. Because they got no choice. I'll give you an example. If you go onto the Australian government website now you check him, this is from the Australian government. This year, while we borrowed, what is it, 6 billion, 7 billion kina? The Australian government this year is borrowing $191 billion. They're borrowing close to 500 billion kina. Now, the Australian government was operating on surpluses for a number of years. They never borrowed. Why are they borrowing now? Because of COVID-19, Mr. Speaker. And those of us who are leaders in this house need to understand why, so that we can make the decisions that are important for our people. The Australian government chose to borrow because they had no choice. Now, if you look at the Australian government, Mr. Speaker, they are planning for 5 years ahead. How many years are we planning, honorable members? And Mr. Speaker, you also head the legislature. How many years are we planning ahead for our people? Or you may cross 5,000 lo DSIP na, Liglig highway blow you mean na, bridge na, barret na, toilet na. What about the next 5 years? That's our job. Our job is to look ahead and to see the problems, to see the potholes. Now you must rere na go come up. You know you may gure nating abus na puna ni go on the hole, which is precisely what we are doing now. We must change the way we do business, Mr. Speaker, in this house. You must start to talk through na talk straight. Hey, come up okay, you may look something to yes, me also happiness. You may send anything na move forward. Not to continue to throw mud at each other. That's not helping our people outside, Mr. Speaker. I give you another example. The New Zealand government, again, one of our neighbors. The New Zealand government is expecting to borrow $100 billion just this year. They never borrowed in the past, not in the recent past anyway. Second record blown. They are going to increase their borrowing by 73%. And we are complaining about a lousy, what, 3% increase? 10%? Well, the New Zealand government is going to borrow 73% of what they need in their budget for their people. What are we doing for our people, Mr. Speaker? That should be the more important question. We shouldn't be debating We should be trying to figure out how to find a way forward for our people, Mr. Speaker. The New Zealand government are planning that by 2025, they are going to borrow up to 46% of their GDP. And they're borrowing about 500 billion kina. What I would like to see on behalf of the Sepik people, Mr. Speaker, is a plan put on this floor. And I would like to say this because I'm part of this government. And I would be irresponsible to my people if I did not ask to see a 5-year plan on the floor, Mr. Speaker. How much money by me borrowing next year? How much by me borrowing the next couple of years in 2025? Why 2025? Because it's also a magic number for us, Mr. Speaker. By 2025, our revenues from the resource projects kick in. Now we need to see some calculation presented in front of all these honorable leaders, and let's debate that, Mr. Speaker. You may debate in this la good la something. Now you may go one bell, now you may go come up law 2025. You may not get passing mine, na Gurian, na Pundan Kirap, now you may come up law 2025. Our people need to look at us with some confidence that we know what we're doing as a parliament, both opposition and government, Mr. Speaker. There's like a petty fight here. You may also lilig mangi, you may pilay mabol na fight I need last from mango ya. It's unacceptable. That is the challenge before us. How do we get out of the pandemic? Our two nearest neighbors, Australia and New Zealand, are planning to get out of it within 5 years. You may come out one time. That, Mr. Speaker, is what I would like to see. Because I think that's what the people of Papua New Guinea want to see. And I'm sure the people of Sepik definitely want to see that. Because our priority, Mr. Speaker, Priority beli me one year and DSIP na PSIP. You may come cross pipe lo this stuff. But what about the greater good for the country? Mr. Speaker, we should be investing right now in the strategic assets. Now, the former Minister for Planning and the former Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Charles Abel, he presided over a very important document. And that was the Strategy for Responsible Sustainable Development, Mr. Speaker. In that, we were talking about moving to a green and a blue economy. No time, me Ari one presentation of this floor, where we are actually shifting our country towards that outcome. That was a very good document. Author Blangania sit down and upside stop, yeah? Are we going to shelve that document just because the honorable member is in the opposition? I don't think so. It's a work that belongs to the people of Papua New Guinea. We should pick it up. We should be pushing for those things because, Mr. Speaker, as a result of this global pandemic, other countries are already shifting their economies into the blue and green spaces. Now, Mibla no even move yet. Mibla cross pipe no DSIP na, PSIP na. Mibla lagi in school na, breeze na. Mibla lagi toilet na. Mibla lagi in classroom ya, Mr. Speaker. Mibla no even think lo blue-green economy, Mr. Yet, there's a document here, Mibla rerim finish na stuff. We were actually a year ahead of the United Nations on such a development, Mr. Speaker. I would like to challenge us to start to do those sorts of things that we talk about and aspire to in our constitution. All Lapun, Papa, before you all been working on 1972, you may not still working yet now. We need to be doing that, Mr. Speaker. Borrowing is serious business. You may not pass in mind, I go inside. Mr. Speaker, I want to make a couple of suggestions because I don't want to see another report in here that does not talk about the future. We can talk about the past and throw mud as much as we like. We can talk about today, but I want to know what's in it tomorrow for the young Papua New Guinean that's currently sitting in the classroom. 70,000 young Papua New Guineans are going to finish grade 12 this year, all by Noga walk. How many more are going to come out of university, all by Noga walk? We need to be dealing with that challenge, even with COVID-19 here. And if we have to borrow, which I have no doubt we will be talking about borrowing again next year. You may borrow. Let's agree as a country, but let's borrow and no can you go na walk you on the road, you may spin one fancy car on top. Let's go and build a road and a wharf that's going to bring production out into the wharf and out somewhere else. Na salim this la production. That's what I want to see us talk about, Mr. Speaker. I want to see us do those sorts of things that previous parliaments did not do. And I want to challenge especially government because plan. This is my government and I wanted to do those things, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to do it. And Mr. Speaker, the responsibility falls on you as Wasman of this House. The legislature needs to be stronger. And I concur with your sentiments this morning, Mr. Speaker, about us properly funding your office so that you are able to hold executive government to account. We have never been able to do that since independence. And it's a structural flaw that results in executive governments doing whatever they like. It needs to stop, Mr. Speaker. All our MPs here only represent the people of Nasindonia, Mr. Speaker. We need to figure out, Sindonim outside the parliament before we come to the floor. Explain the budget to us properly. Not just come na put it noyana. We have to read this. I mean, we get about what, 20 books or something. Who in his right mind is going to read all those books, Mr. Speaker? Misa opim tasoli go na milukim isipik na miridim lo isipik tason na milusuntil olgaranar. That won't do, Mr. Speaker. Our leaders need to understand this is a subject of budget and how it relates not only to their district but to their people as well. So that only can go back now, explaining to people blow. So time you may get kind debate or say one play talk no a wrong blow you and another talk no a wrong blow you. Mr. Speaker, we are appropriately educated so we understand that it's neither here nor there. You can sit in pinga go come but them house you may all get a silly pirap long eme. Have by you may all get a current. You know member blow. Yalibu Pangia by Karimo, President or current Prime Minister. Everybody is going to carry it, Mr. Speaker. My final point, Mr. Speaker, is this. All get the public money you miss spending here. Now you may come, you may harim losla budget 7 billion, 18 billion, kind number, yeah. These are just numbers. What we need to do, we need a mechanism, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to see a parliamentary mechanism if there are no other mechanism. You may go out na second. Suppose you may go na spend him 300 million in Wamla province. Okay, you may go na second. This is 300 million and carrying money keke. Or you may go spend him nothing law. Working bilas na, look nice na. Winning election na go cap. We need to stop that. If you come and spend 500 million in my province, then the people of Sepik need to account to the rest of the country how you may using this money and carrying money keke. I would like to see, Mr. Speaker, that sort of reporting on the floor of this House. Because that is the sort of thing that I think our people deserve to know. Only must have it. How you may using money belong all. Because you may call him all kind of infrastructure and whatever something here. All those infrastructures have not resulted in an increase in our GDP, and that's a fact. The only time we saw a substantial increase in GDP was when the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare was the Prime Minister of this country between 2012 and 2011. And the record proves it. And he did that off the back of an LNG project where he was brave enough. And I commend the people of Southern Highlands who stood by him and made that happen. We need to repeat that sort of performance. But we can't do it, Mr. Speaker, if we don't go and check all this nice infrastructure you fighting brosco kam longemia. One and kai this flow infrastructure karim. Suppose me planning banana, me need lo harvesting banana. You know me planning banana and bilas nothing na noga kai blongem. With that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this time.
For a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. And it's just to reassure the nation and then ensure that you know what to expect come May 28th. That the motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister is alive and well, and it will be moved in Parliament on May 28th.
Is the issue that we've seen circulating certainly over the last couple of months, but which now involves the police commissioner. And that is the allegations of wrongdoing. And by certain members of the police force trying to bring those matters before the courts. What's even more disturbing is the recent press release by the police minister, again defending the commissioner. He did that once before in the matter of the Prime Minister in relation to the Paraka payments. He did come out and defend the Prime Minister in that instance as well. So it's becoming a habit with the minister concerned, where these matters ought to be resolved in a court of law, and it's not up to the minister to determine guilt or innocence.
Today's a gift, for we don't know what tomorrow might bring. Life is too short for so, and I don't like holding on to little grudges that will keep on taunting me. Just wanna live my moments with the happiness. Inaka, amene, wale ukotimbo kipindo, amene. That's what I say. What do I my pay? You should let it go and just forget it all, yo. They say life is a race, and I'm on the chase until I realize I'm still chasing my dreams, yeah. They say life is a race, and I'm on the chase until I realize I'm still chasing my dreams.